Hi, I'm Mazza, welcome to my channel. I'm here in the countryside and I escaped the city for the countryside with no money, no savings, and I'm gonna tell you how. So in the city I was miserable. I think I'd lost the kind of connection I had with nature when I was younger. It was just so noisy. I couldn't sleep. It was no good for my health, my mental health, and I was just craving nature. I realised that I had to do something really different because if I stayed, I was just going mad. So I formulated a plan. I'd been waiting for the perfect job, looking for the perfect job, and it, wasn't happening. So I started to look what was just the bare minimum I could get away with living on to pay rent somewhere. I took a job which was a step down from what I was already doing. It was a trainee gardening position, just 2 days a week, so the pay would barely cover the rent, but it was a start. It was also a couple of 100 miles away, which meant I was leaving family and friends behind. This was part of my strategy though, because when you're looking for jobs, it can be much more competitive near cities or near civilization basically. So I wanted to give myself a good chance of finding a job. I didn't have a house lined up. At this stage I was just thinking, if I have to live in a boat, in a caravan, in a field, in a tent, I will do it. Started looking for somewhere small and affordable to rent. It did feel impossible, as it often is in the UK with the housing situation. There was hardly anything being advertised. But I had accepted the job already, so I needed to find somewhere to live. Time was tight, I had just a few months. Then a friend of the person I was going to be working for said they had a 1-bedroom cottage available for just 6 months. I'd only seen a few photos online. I didn't know the area at all. I didn't know who the neighbours were. I didn't know much about it. But I thought, why not? If I wanted a different life, I had to take the chance. The week came where I'd be starting my new job. I was pretty nervous, especially as we'd never seen the house in person. We loaded up our van with our belongings and made the long drive, not knowing quite what to expect. The very next day, I went for a walk into the woodland opposite the house and I was just blown away. It was October and the woods were full of magical fairy tale fungi and there was lichen all over the trees. There was even a private lake which we had access to, and we were allowed to take fallen trees from the woodland, which meant free firewood for the winter. Shortly after moving in, we visited the RSPCA and a stripy cat called Mackerel adopted us and he moved in too. The house itself had just a tiny front yard which was overgrown, and that was slightly disappointing for someone obsessed with plants. But we set to work improving everything. We noticed a patch of land opposite the house which was overgrown, but had clearly been used as a garden by people years ago. So we asked our landlord if we could use it. They said yes. We started clearing it and we soon had a polytunnel up. So in the end, by taking this chance, I ended up with far more than I thought I would have. A house with land to grow on and woodland literally outside the door. Of course there are downsides to the sort of approach I took. My partner and I, we had to live frugally and the pressure was on to find more self-employed work. My partner had some remote freelance work, so between us it was like 2 part-time wages. There's also a seasonal element to work in the countryside a lot of the time, so that can be a problem. You also have the insecurity of renting, which I'm sure a lot of people will identify with these days. I did struggle for quite a while with kind of a bit of anxiety around the fact that we might only have this new house for 6 months and what will happen after that. But lo and behold, after the first 6 months of tenancy, the landlord thankfully didn't kick out the two strange city slickers who'd arrived to live in the middle of nowhere, so we were staying. I won't pretend this is for everyone. If you've got kids, if you've got caring responsibilities, or maybe some kind of health issue, a move like this could be much harder. But if you're someone who can work remotely, or if you have a house to sell, or if you've already got some skills that would be in demand in a rural area, or you can train to do that kind of job, even if it's a bit of a drop in pay just to get you started somewhere else, I would just go for it. Well, here I am, still here almost 4 years later, and honestly, you couldn't pay me to go back to the city. I sleep well, it's peaceful, I wake up to birdsong every morning. I feel like I've got so much more energy and inspiration for creative projects. I'm still working as a gardener, and I'm also finding new ways to expand my income from our base here. We've even acquired another little plot of land, which I'm very excited to share with you soon. In upcoming videos, I'll be giving you gardening tips and updates on what I'm growing here, so if that sounds good, don't forget to like and subscribe.